the city floating between planets where dreams never end. The universe was vast, silent, and endless. Between the cold rings of Saturn and the whispering clouds of Neptune drifted something miraculous, a city that shimmered like a dream caught between waking and sleep. No one remembered when it was built, or who first dared to live there. Some said it was born from starlight, others believed it was carved out of forgotten dreams that escaped from sleeping worlds. Whatever the truth, the city floated, eternal, glowing softly against the black ocean of space. It was called Elysera, the city of endless dreams. Elysera was not like any city known to humankind. Its towers were made of light and memory. Its streets glowed faintly beneath the feet, alive with whispers from those who walked them before. Gardens grew in the air, with trees whose roots hung freely in the void, drinking from invisible streams of energy. The city moved slowly in its orbit, drifting between the gravity of two planets like a silver ship that never docked. No one aged in Elysera. Time bent gently around its people, as if afraid to disturb their peace. Each dawn was painted in new colors, sometimes rose gold, sometimes deep indigo, depending on which world's sun it drifted closer to. And every night, the sky unfolded its secrets like a story written in starlight. Among the city's countless dreamers lived a young woman named Elysera. She was not born there. No one really was. Every soul in Elysera had once come from a different planet, carried by invisible forces, drawn by a longing they could not name. They simply arrived one night, floating in light, awakening on the streets of Elysera as if they had always belonged. Elysera remembered fragments of another world, the scent of rain, the sound of waves against stone, and a name she could no longer recall. She remembered running toward something before she woke up here, bathed in silver light. Since then, she had lived quietly, painting skies on the floating balconies and collecting fragments of broken stars that drifted through the air. She believed each piece held a forgotten dream. Elysera had no rulers, no laws, and no wars. People lived by intuition, guided by dreams. Every person's dream shaped a part of the city. The more vivid one's imagination, the more beautiful the city became. That was why Elysera was never still. It kept changing shape as people dreamed. Towers melted into rivers, rivers turned into bridges, and bridges blossomed into clouds of light. But recently, Elysera had noticed something strange. The dreams were fading. The lights that once danced across the sky now dimmed earlier each night. The songs sung by the dreamweavers, mysterious beings who gathered melodies from sleeping hearts, had grown quieter. Even the air felt thinner, as if the city was beginning to forget how to breathe. Elysera spoke about it to Kale, her closest friend, a quiet boy with dark eyes that reflected galaxies. He had come from a world that no longer existed. The only thing he ever said about it was a place that dreamed too much until it burned. "Do you feel it too?" she asked one evening as they stood on the edge of the city, where gravity began to dissolve. Stars floated beneath their feet like glowing fish in a cosmic sea. Kale nodded. "The city's slowing down," he said. "Dreams are what keep it alive. But fewer people are dreaming now. Maybe we're forgetting why we came." Elysera looked down at her hands. "Can dreams die?" Kale's gaze drifted to the distant ring of a planet. "Maybe not die," he said softly, "but they can fall asleep." That night, Elysera couldn't rest. She walked through the silent gardens, her feet barely touching the glowing paths. The flowers had stopped humming, a sign of fading energy. She came to the mirror lake, a floating pool that reflected not faces, but inner hearts. When she looked into it, she didn't see herself. She saw shadows, echoes of people she had never met, cities she had never visited, and skies she had never seen. And in that reflection, a voice whispered, faint but clear, "Find the heart of Elysera before it forgets your name." Elysera gasped and stepped back. The lake rippled, glowing with a pale light, and then stilled as if nothing had happened. But the words stayed with her. The heart of Elysera. She had never heard of such a thing. The city seemed alive. Yes, but it had never been said to have a heart. When she told Kale the next morning, he grew pale. "The heart," he murmured. "That's only a legend. They say it lies in the center of the city, the place where all dreams are born. No one has ever seen it. Some think it's a sun trapped beneath the city. Others say it's the first dreamer who never woke up." "What if it's real?" Leora asked. "What if the city is dying because the heart is fading?" Kale looked at her for a long time. Then he smiled faintly. "Then we'll have to find it." And so began their journey, a search for the beating heart of a city made of dreams, drifting between worlds. Leora and Kale began their journey at dawn, when Elysera drifted close to a warm sun that painted the city gold. The air shimmered softly, and the towers of light cast long, fluid shadows over the sky paths. They carried little with them, only a small lantern of memory that glowed when touched by thought, and a map made of starlight that reshaped itself as they dreamed. Their first destination was the Hall of Forgotten Dreams, where the Dreamweavers lived. The hall stood at the farthest edge of Elysera, half floating in space, half dissolving into mist. Its doors were made of translucent crystal, and behind them echoed faint murmurs, fragments of dreams abandoned by those who no longer remembered them. Inside, the air was filled with soft light. Threads of color drifted around like ribbons, weaving themselves into shapes, wings, faces, oceans, and flames, before fading again. The Dreamweavers moved silently among them. Their eyes glowed like moons, and their robes shimmered with fragments of other people's imaginations. When Leora approached, one of them turned toward her. "You seek the heart," the weaver said before she could even speak. Leora's breath caught. "How do you know?" The weaver smiled gently. "Every dream in this city whispers. The heart listens. It has been calling for you." Kale stepped forward. "Then you know where it is." But the weaver shook their head. "The heart hides in the layers between dreams. To find it, you must travel through the three realms: memory, shadow, and light. Only when you cross them will the path reveal itself." Leora frowned. "How do we begin?" The weaver extended a silver thread. "Follow this until it ends. But be warned, not all dreams wish to be remembered. Some will try to keep you." Leora took the thread. It pulsed softly in her hand, warm and alive. She thanked the weaver, and together, she and Kale stepped out into the golden mist. The realm of memory lay just beyond the city's central gardens, a place where everything shimmered with echoes of the past. Here, streets replayed old laughter, doors whispered the names of those who had once opened them, and walls bloomed with images of forgotten lives. As they walked, Leora began to see flashes of her own past. A small child chasing rain. A girl standing under a stormy sky, calling out a name that dissolved into thunder. She reached out, but the image vanished. Kale, too, was silent. He seemed troubled, his eyes reflecting faint images of his lost world. Flames rising, skies collapsing, a people turning to dust. He clenched his fists. "I thought I left this behind," he muttered. "The past never leaves," Leora whispered. "It waits for us to understand it." The silver thread led them to a gate made of glass, etched with glowing symbols. It pulsed softly when Leora touched it, then melted open like water. Beyond it was darkness. They stepped through, and entered the realm of shadow. Here, the light of Elysera dimmed. The floating city above was only a faint silhouette. Around them spread endless corridors of dark mist, filled with shifting figures, the unfulfilled dreams, the fears, and the forgotten hopes of countless souls. The air was heavy, whispering. "You cannot save what is already fading," a voice murmured. "Go back before you vanish, too." Kale tightened his grip on Leora's hand. "Don't listen. Shadows lie." But as they walked, the darkness began to take shape. A figure appeared before them, a reflection of Leora herself. Her shadow double looked older, colder, with eyes like dim stars. "You want to find the heart?" the shadow asked. "For what? So you can pretend this city can last forever?" "Dreams fade, Leora. That's their nature." "I don't believe that," Leora said. Dreams change, they don't end. The shadow smiled sadly. Then prove it. Suddenly the ground beneath her vanished, and she fell into a void of memories, echoes, and light. Kale shouted and jumped after her. They fell through darkness that shimmered like ink mixed with silver. The thread in Leora's hand glowed fiercely, pulling her upward, and then, just as suddenly, they landed on solid ground again. They found themselves standing in a place that looked like dawn, soft light everywhere, weightless and calm. It felt like waking up after a long dream. "This must be the realm of light," Kale said softly. Here, everything shimmered, the ground, the air, even their hands. They could see through their own skin, into streams of light running beneath. The city of Elysera was visible far above, floating like a golden island in the dark. And at the center of this realm burned a faint glow, a star that pulsed with a heartbeat. "The heart," Leora whispered. They walked closer, but the nearer they came, the stronger the light became. Not burning, but pure, heavy with emotion. Images filled the air, every dream ever dreamed in Elysera. The laughter of children, the first sunrise, the hopes of countless wanderers who came seeking peace. Then they saw something unexpected. The heart was not just light. Inside it, there was a figure asleep. A woman, lying within a cocoon of glowing threads, her hair floating like mist, her face serene. "She's the first dreamer," Kale breathed. "The one who built Elysera." Leora knelt beside the glowing sphere. The woman's heartbeat was faint but steady, and the city above them pulsed in rhythm with it. "She's dying," Leora said softly. "And when she fades, the city will vanish with her." "Can we wake her?" Kale asked. Leora closed her eyes. "We have to try." She reached out, and the instant her hand touched the light, her mind filled with visions. She saw the creation of Elysera, a lonely dreamer floating through the cosmos, weaving a home for lost souls, building it out of her imagination so no one would ever be alone again. She saw people arrive, smiling, dreaming, and she saw their dreams begin to weaken, their lights fading one by one, until even the dreamer herself began to sleep. Then came the voice again, soft and distant. "To wake me, you must remember why you dreamed." Leora gasped, tears filling her eyes. "It's not the city that's dying," she whispered. "It's us. We've forgotten to dream." Kale looked at her, understanding dawning. "If Elysera lives through our dreams, then maybe we can save it. Together." He extended his hand. "Let's remind it what hope feels like." They closed their eyes and began to dream. When Leora and Kale closed their eyes, the world around them disappeared. There was no ground, no stars, no sound. Only the hum of their own hearts beating in unison with the pulse of the heart of Elysera. They stood inside a vast ocean of light. Each wave shimmered with color, gold, silver, deep violet, and within each ripple floated fragments of forgotten dreams. A mother's lullaby, a child's wish upon a shooting star, the laughter of lovers dancing in the rain. All of them drifted toward the center, drawn by the same invisible force, the desire to be remembered. Leora reached out and touched one of the glowing fragments. Instantly, she saw herself as a little girl again, looking up at a night sky filled with constellations she used to name aloud. She had always believed the stars listened to her. Somewhere along the way, she had forgotten. Kale too saw a memory. A field of blue fire stretching across his homeworld, and his people gathered under the twin moons, singing songs of hope. He had thought that world was gone forever, burned and forgotten. But here, in the dream light, it still lived because he remembered it. The heart's voice came again, soft and vast, echoing like a chorus of 1,000 souls. "Dreams do not die. They sleep within you, waiting for your call." Leora turned to Kale, her eyes shining. "Then we can wake them. All of them." "How?" he asked. "By remembering. By dreaming again." They began to weave their memories into light. Kale with the melody of his lost world, Leora with the colors of her childhood skies. The light responded, swirling around them like a living wind. Each thought, each hope, became a spark that joined the others, until the darkness of the realm began to break apart. The heart pulsed brighter and brighter, its rhythm steady and strong. The sleeping woman within it stirred, her fingers twitching as if reaching for the light they offered. Leora's voice trembled but remained clear. Elysera, wake up. You are made of us, of every dreamer who ever believed in something beautiful. Don't fade. And for the first time in a long while, Elysera breathed. Above them, in the floating city, the skies began to change. The dim streets shimmered again. The gardens started to sing, soft notes rising like the sound of rain after a drought. The towers of light grew taller, brighter, alive once more. People woke from their deep sleep, those who had stopped dreaming, those who had begun to forget, and looked to the heavens in wonder. They saw beams of golden light rising from the center of the city, piercing the clouds, and they felt warmth spread through their hearts. Dreams, old, young, strange, and wonderful, began to bloom again. A painter saw colors he had never seen before. A musician heard a melody that echoed the heartbeat of the universe. Children floated above the streets, laughing, their thoughts turning into glowing birds that filled the skies. Elysera was alive. Deep below, in the realm of light, the heart opened like a flower. The woman inside awoke. Her eyes were like twin suns, ancient and kind. She looked at Leora and Kale and smiled. You remembered me, she said softly. And through you, I remember them all. Leora bowed her head. We only followed the dream. The woman placed her hand over Leora's heart. Then you are now part of Elysera itself. Every dream that flows through this city will pass through you. She turned to Kale. And you, keeper of forgotten songs, your voice will guide the dreamers who are lost. Kale lowered his gaze, emotion tightening his throat. Will you stay? The woman shook her head gently. I must rest again, but this time, I will not sleep alone. As long as someone dreams, Elysera will remain awake. She faded into light, and that light filled the air, the city, the stars. Leora and Kale found themselves standing once more on one of Elysera's sky bridges. The silver thread they had followed was gone, replaced by streams of starlight weaving through the air. Below them stretched the glowing expanse of the city, alive, radiant, endless. The people who had once drifted through their days now danced through them. They painted with clouds, sang with light, built towers out of laughter and reflection. The city was no longer a collection of dreamers. It was a living dream, vast and eternal. Kale turned to Leora. Do you think we'll ever go back? To the worlds we came from? Leora smiled faintly, her gaze lost in the horizon where two planets glowed like jewels. Maybe someday. But not yet. This city still needs dreamers. Kale nodded, then looked up at the sky. Then we'll keep dreaming. Leora laughed softly. Yes. Because dreams never end. They only find new places to begin. Many years, or perhaps moments, passed after that day. In Elysera, time was not measured in minutes or hours, but in dreams created, shared, and reborn. Leora became known as the Keeper of Colors, for she painted the skies anew each dawn. Each shade of gold or violet that rippled through the clouds was said to come from her heart. Kale became the voice between stars, singing the songs that guided wandering souls to the city. His melodies could be heard echoing through space, reaching lost travelers who drifted too far from their worlds. Together, they watched as Elysera continued to float, gently, gracefully, between planets, between times, between realities. New dreamers arrived every night, carried by silver threads of light. Some were children from forgotten worlds, some were spirits of those who still dreamed, while they slept elsewhere. Each one found a home in the city that never ended. One evening, as Leora stood on the highest tower, she felt a presence beside her. Kale joined her, silent, both of them watching as a new cluster of stars was born far beyond. Do you ever wonder, Leora said, what happens to our dreams when we finally wake up? Kale smiled. Maybe they become new worlds. Maybe Elysera sends him out there, little seeds of imagination, waiting to bloom somewhere else. Leora nodded thoughtfully. Then the universe must be full of dreamers. He looked at her. It always was. It just needed someone to remind it. The stars shimmered, reflecting in their eyes. The city drifted on, glowing softly between planets, its towers stretching toward infinity. And somewhere in the deep heart of the cosmos, the dreamer, the one who built it all, smiled in her sleep, her dream continuing through every soul that dared to hope. In that place where night never truly ends and dawn is always just beginning, Elysera, the city floating between planets where dreams never end, continued to live, a home for every imagination that refused to fade, a promise that even in the vast silence of the universe, dreams will always find their way home.